Good afternoon. I'm Chris Herrick. I'm the Director of Emergency Management and Homeland Security for the state of Vermont. I'm going to start today by quoting General Eisenhower. Some of you may have heard him say, "Plans are worthless, but planning's everything." It's what he said after that that's even more significant. There's a great distinction because when you are planning for an emergency, you must start with this one thing, the very definition of emergency. It's unexpected, and it's not going to happen the way that you plan. History has shown that to be true in the state of Vermont, whether it's Irene, or the ice storm, or the day-to-day events that emergency management deals with. We plan all the time. It's never exactly what we thought, but what is important is we've developed the working relationship with our partners. And one of the biggest partners we have in the state of Vermont during a disaster is the Vermont National Guard. That's what today is all about. This is a planning conference for Vigilant Guard, an exercise that's going to occur in late July and early August of 2016. It's a statewide exercise. There are many towns across the entire state of Vermont, many fire agencies, police agencies, EMS agencies, urban search and rescue, hazmat teams, civil support team from the National Guard, and large numbers of National Guard, both in the state of Vermont and from without. We're working together to develop this exercise so that we can develop a better working relationship with each other should we have to call on the National Guard one more time, and we all know we're going to down the road. So that's what this is about. We can talk about the specifics of this exercise. Actually, we can't because they're not telling us. But the specifics themselves aren't really what's important. What's important is that we work out any bugs that may exist so that something happens this winter and I need to call General Cray. We already know how it's going to work. Our folks at Emergency Management know how we're going to integrate with the National Guard. The local towns know what to expect when they call the state for help, and we may send the National Guard in to assist. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to General Cray, and I know we'll be taking some questions after.
Thank you, Director. I'm Major General Stephen Cray. I'm the Adjutant General for the state of Vermont, and the Vermont National Guard's mission is actually pretty straightforward. Support the state of Vermont with personnel and equipment in a response to an emergency. And so that's exactly what we're going to test and practice in Vigilant Guard 16. The Director is absolutely correct in the fact that we don't know what's next around the corner. We don't know what the next disaster or emergency will be. But we do know that the National Guard will be called upon in the future to respond in the support of the state. And it is our charge to support the governor and to support the citizens of Vermont. The old adage of you can't exchange business cards at the emergency is absolutely true. We cannot afford to wait to just respond to an emergency and see how it goes. We need to be prepared. The military is very good at a lot of things, and one of the things that we are best at is planning. We plan, and we practice. And so we know that it won't go exactly as it is planned, but what that planning does is make sure that the personnel are familiar with the tasks that they may be asked to perform, and we know that the equipment is ready to respond in the emergency. So we know from the Vermont National Guard's perspective, just to put it, this is a mid-year planning conference, but really we only have about 14 days from the National Guard's perspective to prepare for this. You know that about 70% of our National Guard are traditional airmen and soldiers, so we have a lot of preparations to do, and that's exactly what we'll be doing over the next 6 months. We're proud to be partnered with the state for Vigilant Guard 16, and I know we will be there to do our part. So with that, sir, we'll take some questions.
I know on this sheet it lists some of what the simulation will include. Can you kind of go into as much detail as you can about what a medical surge might look like to the public or a natural disaster response?
Sure. So, without getting into specifics, one of the things that we're concerned about in Vermont is medical surge, is the ability to treat, triage, transport, but also for medical centers to accept a huge number of patients above and beyond what they normally have. And so, I should have mentioned earlier that state agencies are all participating in this as well. So the Vermont Department of Health will have a huge role. They have a patient coordination unit. That's going to get tested. I can't tell you what the precipitating event is going to be, but it is going to test our ability to find a location to treat these folks. And let me just add here, the State Emergency Operations Center is going to be open, and we will have our partners from the state agencies, VTrans, the state police, the health department, Agency of Human Services. They're all there working to solve the problems. So, did I answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
All right. Others?
And just to follow up, from the Vermont National Guard's perspective, we have parts of that, we built into that plan. So we may provide transportation, personnel to distribute things across the state. So it's an integral plan, and the Vermont National Guard will have a piece of that as well.
Well, if there aren't any questions, thank you for coming out today. You